Welcome to Behind the Claw. We are going to be picking up where we left off last week. So there was a big firefight. These guys were on Tarkeen during the coup. Well, I guess post-coup, where um, the Yunt had taken over, and they found the rebels, and of course, naturally, Princess Glorinna Firella was a part of the royalist faction. And so that's where she took them, is to a rebel hideout. And the junta came in, and there was a big attack, and there was lots of gunplay, and these guys came out of it victorious, not completely unscathed, but they came out of it victorious. No fatal casualties, and so they have made their way back to um, back to the starport via the underground steam tunnels that run throughout the around the edge of both the capital city of Verisad and the star town and the starport. And they made their way back to the starport in secret, going to make their way off world aboard the convulsion. I almost called it the seizure. Whatever. Little this, little that. And so they are back aboard. They have gotten back aboard the convulsion. There were no random checks uh, by Yunta factioned um, patrol boats. I'm just looking here, and they are now back on their way back to Elizabeth, uh, 2 jumps away. Here. This is the deck plans for the convulsion. I need to put Orion down here. Oh, actually, you guys would be up on deck 2 in passenger housing. And so you are back on the convulsion, and they have already made their first jump, and you basically each of you has your own stateroom up here on deck 2, and Glorina, the princess, has taken a stateroom as well. I thought this one was nicer, but I guess not. Those are all standard. Well, this is just a Far Trader, so yeah, they're probably all standard staterooms. I just was looking at this map, and I find it funny that there is a iris valve here and here in case of emergency, because those are airtight, and so um, you know, if the microwave explodes, they'll close automatically and prevent decompression in the other compartments. But I digress. So yeah, you are aboard the you're aboard the convulsion, and you have entered jump space. We'll go ahead and just get it out of the way now. Because there are going to be 2 jumps, you can go ahead and add 2 weeks to your study periods.
Ooh.
Does that top anybody over?
How, just because I forgot to look it up earlier before the game started, how many weeks does it take to get an initial rank 0 training in a skill?
It's 8 weeks. It's 8 weeks to go to 0,
8 weeks.
and it's 8 weeks to go from 0 to 1. So it's one study period of 8 weeks. To go from 1 to 2, it's 2 study periods. And the way I do it, and it doesn't say not to do it this way, but it's also not exceptionally clear in the core rulebook. The way I do it is at the end of that study period. So the first 8 weeks, you make a skill roll plus education in most cases. Some cases it's going to be, and this is the athletic skills. It's going to be a skill roll plus whichever of the athletics uh, attributes that it's tied to. So if it's athletics dexterity, you would make a 2D plus athletics plus dexterity, however you want to do it. If you
Gotcha.
if you the reason why I do it this way is that if you fail that, you only lose out on 8 weeks. So the way that it kind of reads in the core rulebook is that, oh, if you're going from 2 to 3, that's 3 study periods, and at the end of 24 weeks worth of studying, you make an education check to see if you an 8+ average education check, and if you get 8 or higher, you succeed. If you don't, then you fail. And it reads kind of like you would lose the entire 24 weeks, and that I find is far too punishing.
Oof.
Um, as my wife, the one small campaign that we ran for Traveler, my wife failed that role every time. Like in a
So
in a year, she never got a new skill because she kept failing that check. And on the flip side, there is a different way you can use XP points. There is stuff in the Traveler Companion on how to give out points. I found that to be too far the other direction. I mean, we had characters gaining skills like every week, and so this way it's a little bit more controlled, and it's not an all or nothing roll. So after
A
each
little
study
more
period,
forgiving.
yeah, it's a little bit more forgiving, and it still is going to take you a while, you know. Especially if it starts to get exponentially difficult when you start getting up into like rank 3s or 4s. But
Gotcha.
you're not going to lose out on all of that study time. You're only going to lose out on the other thing that I do is that you can add the skill that you already have to the roll. So if you already have, say, Vac-Suit 1 and you're trying to go to Vac-Suit 2, when it comes time for you to actually see if you make the check, you can add Vac-Suit plus your education to that dice roll,
Okay.
which I feel kind of makes sense because you're going to do better
You're,
if you already have a background in it. So
you're building off of your existing knowledge.
exactly. So that's the way I do that. I do think moving forward, now that we're out of combat, I do think moving forward that I am going to impose the multiple action rule to full auto fire. So, um, if you have, say, I think an assault rifle, or let's say a Gauss rifle is auto 3. So that means that if you go full auto, you can make 3 attacks with it to targets within 6 meters of one another. I think on the first roll it would be normal, and then the second roll would be -1, third roll would be -2. And the reason for that being a number of things is that one, you are technically doing more, I mean, mechanically, you're doing more than one action, and it attributes to muzzle climb. So this is that similar to a rule I believe in old school Shadowrun. They had a muzzle climb mechanic. I think we're going to apply that to full auto rolls. It doesn't say anything about it in the book, and I find that very
Like,
odd.
yeah, it makes sense to me.
I mean, if you had something
Being
like
being someone who has fired fully automatic weapons before many
yeah,
many times.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, and I think that if you had something like an accessory, like a muzzle brake, that might lower it. So instead of on that third roll, instead of it being -2, it might also only be -1. Um,
or extra durable shot before the penalties kick in.
exactly. So yeah, I think we'll do that moving forward. But anyways, so you've got 2 weeks added to your study periods. Is there? I mean, you're going to be traveling, and let me just real quick. go back over here and look. I don't think there's anywhere interesting that you're going to go. So, yeah, no, there isn't. So, the most likely course that the captain of the Convulsion is going to take is they are going to take a J1 to Noctical, do wilderness refueling there, and then they will just jump straight to Elizabeth for the second jump. And neither Noctical nor Forine, there's literally nothing there. I mean, there probably are miners and whatnot, but neither of those worlds are really desirable. They are not. They don't have a Disneyland. They are not places that tourists are going to go. I really don't know that much. I think that they are. I want to say that they're probably protectorates or vassal worlds of Dahlia, which Tarkeen and Elizabeth are as well. Um, but I don't think there's anything there other than like mining groups and belters and whatnot. So there's really nothing. There's nowhere to get off and go see things. Um, Probably just gonna stay aboard ship for 2 weeks. Is there anything that you? I mean, you have 2 weeks to sit and chat with Glorinna. Let me see. That's interesting. Go to do something and then I bring up a question for myself. Okay. So she. Oof. All right. So she easily spends her time with you guys in the common area on deck 2 of the Convulsion. I mean, there's not a whole lot. Um, there's not a whole lot to do. I mean, you guys can play cards. There's some minor entertainment. They do have an entertainment system with a fairly good library of videos and music in the ship's computer. But aside from that, the Convulsion being what it is, they of course have a well-stocked bar. This is their passenger deck, and so they they uh, they try to bring in better clientele. None of the booze here is high end; it's all mid shelf at least. That's like the best that it gets. And so you got nothing to do for 2 weeks except play video games, cards, watch movies, and drink. And she, um, well, all of you can make a Recon Plus social check.
Mm.
Only a 7.
Wow, none of you got it. So in the course of this 2 week journey, she is carousing with you guys. She's drinking. She's playing games. She is drawing out information from each of you. So we will start. We will start with Orion. Tell us something about your character. You can. I hate to put you on the spot, but you could just make it up as you go. Something about your character's background, what you did, something about a contact that you made, something along those lines.
I'd say probably the story that probably comes out the easiest for him would be of the first time he was sent out on a essentially a solo team, just him and a singular spotter, having to essentially camp out on a hillside for about a month straight, just watching this small little colonial settlement town on the outskirt of some little small planet that probably no one's heard of in imperial space, and just constantly having to watch and seeing different ships coming in and out, different travelers kind of coming and going, but knowing the entire time he was there looking for an illegal weapons shipment that was coming through.
Okay.
And probably the first time he actually got his first confirmed kill from about 890 meters away.
Okay. Okay. Zerzy, what piece of info would you relay? And keep in mind too that Orion, both as a player and a character, are new, so they may not know everything about your background. What's something that you might let slip?
Probably that hearing more and more concerns that the Jodani are moving closer to war, he would probably actually let it slip that if push came to shove and war happened, he would answer the call and go back home and serve in any way he could.
Okay. Okay.
He'd give up this life as a rich merchant guy and do whatever. Probably using his prior experiences in the tank corps or cavalry. He'd probably go back and be in charge of a training center or something.
Okay. What about Audrey?
Oh, Audrey would tell Glorina about how her pack ran a business where cars were brought in and they took them apart and sold the parts. And she says how working on the vehicles made her happy, but she doesn't realize that it was a chop shop. She thought it was a legitimate
like,
business.
That sounds a lot like a chop shop.
It was, but she doesn't understand that concept.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, this entire time during these 2 weeks, Glorina is carousing with you guys and getting information from you and giving very little back about herself. You still only know essentially the same information that you knew showing up, is that she, is more or less in exile. She was the princess. Nobody knows where her father is. The General Kang Ladro is the bad guy that the Royal Companion Regiment took over. Aside from that, and of course, the little bits that she has told you, she never once says that she is in love or actually does love Blinderby. She never says those exact words. She will say things like she has a great affection for him, or that she cares very deeply for him. But that's as far as that statement goes. And she has stated at least once. She stated it once while you were on planet. She probably states it again because she doesn't want you guys to get the wrong idea about her. I mean, it's very obvious to anybody with eyes that that Farnham, Lord Farnham Blinderby, is exceptionally wealthy. He has way too much time on his hands. He's a bored young noble, and she wants to reiterate that she has not engaged in this. I guess you'd say mail order romance or X-boat romance, sending messages, 4 parsecs away. She's not in this for his money, and I mean, theoretically, when this whole thing probably started between her and Blinderby, she didn't need his money. She's a princess. She has money. The Firella house has had plenty of money. It wasn't until her assets were frozen that became an issue. And so she doesn't want you to get this idea that she's trying to bilk him out of his money, in order to take back her ancestral home. She's more wanting to make sure that you just, realize that, she actually does have she has a strong affection for him, that she truly cares about him, etc., etc. Which you guys had already heard most of this information. You haven't really learned anything new about her at all. She's very, I wouldn't say that she's guarded. She's very adept at getting information from others while showing very few of her own cards.
Gotcha.
Casimir, hello.
Hello. Hi. Sorry about
Hello.
that.
No worries.
Unfortunately, the one of the disadvantages of working from home is that sometimes I don't and have to stay late.
Yeah, no, I totally understand that. My boss is a jerk. Myself, I work for myself.
Yeah, same.
You should hear me
Same
when I
as well.
call in sick.
Yeah.
So let's see what Casimir has. So Casimir, go ahead and roll a recon plus social.
Recon plus social. Okay. Let me just pop this bad boy out.
And Casimir, you can add 2 weeks to your study period.
Aha, excellent. I think that puts me at something, but I suppose we'll find out in just a moment. Recon plus social, no advantages. Survey says 10.
Okay. You can make a carouse plus social check.
Carouse. Well, I'm terrible at carouse, but that's okay. I'll do it anyway. Come here, carouse. Carouse plus social at a -3. Yeah, this will go over well. Yep, that went about as well as I thought.
So
Yeah, just about as well as it could.
So so Casimir is fully aware that essentially Glorinna is, during this entire time, basically getting to know you guys and learning things about you, and you pick up on it immediately that she's the one holding all the cards. She is getting information from you while giving very little back about herself. All you know is the essential, the basics. What is something that from Casimir's background, either something about your background, a contact? What is something that you might let slip throughout the 2 week journey?
Well, does it have to be like a big secret, or does it have to be like because like the Casimir's biggest secret is that he used to work as a information retriever for what's it called, for that horrible corporation, what GDCO.
Oh, Judecco, yes.
Yeah, but if that's not, well, I mean, okay, she can learn that. Why not?
Okay, yeah, I mean, so that's very interesting. In fact, as the referee, I didn't even realize that. I think you brought up something about it originally, but so Judecco, General Development Corporation, is not what would be considered a megacorp, but they are. I mean, what designates a company to be a megacorporation really depends on location. So they are basically based out of Deneb. That's where their true headquarters is. And they, like any huge corporation, they have multitudes of divisions and subdivisions that range throughout. Their headquarters is based in Deneb, but really in the Imperium, they have a very limited footprint. They are certainly not as big as like Ling Standard Products or some of the other large companies. Ling is the first one that comes to mind, which is a true megacorp. But in the Trojan Reach, just space west of of the Imperium, that would be Rimward. They are more or less the de facto company. They sell everything. Everything from packaged food to small appliances to, in some cases, weapons, all manner of things. So this so being a part of being a an information gatherer. So Judecco has buried in their multitude of divisions, there is a secret division over in the Trojan Reach that not many know of, but that is probably more than likely the division that Casimir would have been operating under, and they do some pretty shady things. They especially they even screw over their own operatives. So like they will take an operative and they will do something such as pay for their kids' college fund, right? And while the kid's in college, they'll say, okay, well, you know, hey, we paid for his college. Either you do what we are asking you to do and be an information gatherer or what have you, or we'll pull his tuition and he'll have to drop out. You know, or in some cases it could be far worse. Especially if it had something to do with like, oh well, we had to he needed a new augmented vat grown liver or else he'd die. Well, it'd be terrible if we had to repossess that. Um, and that's how they get a lot of their operatives to work for them in the Trojan Reach. A lot of the people that don't want to work for them. On the flip side, there are plenty of nasty kinds that absolutely love working for them. So they are in the Trojan Reach. They're kind of the big bad, kind of behind the scenes. Not really. They are the scenes kind of guys. They own most of the starports. They go into the Trojan Reach and they'll go to a planet that has like tech level 5, and they'll say, "Well, we'll raise your tech level up to like 8, literally overnight, and we'll build a Class A or Class B starport here, and all you have to do is give us like a third of your planet's GDP." And so that's how they make all their money. And so yeah, that's an interesting piece of information. So yeah, Casimir, you are totally aware of the fact that she's getting all this information about you guys, but she's not really giving anything in return.
Yeah. Okay. Well, not much I can do about it. Like, presumably Casimir has dealt with people like that, and he just knows that unless he's just gonna like attempt to crush your mind into submission, which is not something he wants to do.
Right.
Yeah. She just kind of gets to roll face on him.
Yeah, and I mean it doesn't. So because you made your recon check, the other guys probably at the end of the 2 weeks they are more than likely aware that they're like, holy shit, she got us to tell her everything about us, and we know nothing else about her. They're aware of that part. That Casimir, you kind of are aware on another level, and it's not even necessarily. It's obviously that she's been schooled and trained in this, but it may not be on purpose. Like she, from a nobility aspect, and somebody who's been raised in that environment, it just simply becomes secondhand to them, and so she's not like actively doing it. But by the end of the 2 weeks, she has a bunch of information about you guys, and you know 2 weeks shows up, and you guys arrive back on Elixabeth. There it is. And return to Blinderby Manor. Again, it's still just a prefab that has, or a couple of prefabs that have been constructed into this this mansion in a large agrodome, a 5-click diameter agrodome on the surface of Elizabeth, and of course, the convulsion doesn't land at Blinderby Manor. You have to go. They dock at the high port, and then there is a transfer to Penny's personal shuttle, and he now has a pilot. He actually pinched the pilot from the naval base, and this guy's on his payroll now. And so the pilot meets you guys in the port and drags you back down to Elizabeth, and Penny comes out wanting to be there, of course, immediately as soon as the love of his life, Glorinna Firella, steps off of the ship. There he is. This is Lord Penfold Farnham Blinderby, or Penny to his old school chums. God, he looks like a douche. I think it's the gold necklace and the slicked back hair that really sell it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So he, of course, meets you guys as soon as the shuttle lands, and rushes up, and he doesn't embrace Glorinna. I mean, this is the first time that they've met in person. He rushes up and takes both of her hands and is practically stammering. He says, I can't believe that you're finally here, and that we were that these kind people were able to get you off of that world and out of that terrible situation, and I'm just going on. I'm going on. Please come in. You must all be hungry and thirsty, and he leads you back into the manor, and he has his servants lay out a meal. Hastily made meal. He didn't know that you guys were going to be arriving until about 4 hours ago, and so he's just been a frazzled mess. And he of course serves drinks, and he is talking to her, wanting to know, was it at all dangerous, and were you afraid for your life? And then he finally stops and he says, "Oh, I am terribly sorry, my friends. I am so sorry. Here, please." And he picks up his mobile comm, and he immediately credits Casimir, Audrey, and Zerzy. You get an automatic 5,000 credits added to your accounts. That can be drawn out in hard currency at the Highport Bank. And then he turns to Orion and he says, I'm sorry, I don't believe I've made your acquaintance.
Oh, Lance Sergeant Orion Rains, 3rd Imperium Marines. Pleasure to meet you.
And
I'll just hold out a hand for a handshake.
Yes, and he shakes your hand, and Glorinna goes on at some length about how brave Orion was, and how he helped get me off of the world, and he assisted your friends, and he's absolutely a core part of why I'm here. And Blinderby taps his phone again and deposits 5,000 credits into Orion's account as well. And he says, I'm sure that this is not anywhere near enough to cover the expense of how much you have how much good you have done for both Glorinna and myself. But please take this as a reward.
Much appreciated. Garsam was not too expensive, so it should work.
Yeah, that's a weekend at the range. And so he kind of goes on and on with Glorinna, and you guys are kind of sitting there, you're eating, you got drink, but socially, you're like, we're kind of getting to that point where we're a third wheel here, and you're probably you're there an hour, and you're probably okay. Time for us to be moseying on down the expo route, and and so he, of course, as soon as you guys get to the point where look like you're about ready to um, get up and move along, um, he tells you, he says, I know that you really must get back to your merchant cruise and move along towards the completion of your stated goals. And he says, but I do want you to know that I am going to miss you terribly, and if you are ever back along this way, please feel free to stop by and stay with me again.
We will miss you, Blinderby. You are a good friend, and I am happy you are with Glorinna.
He says, well, thank you. I really appreciate everything you've done for me. Is there anything else that you want
I can't speak for the others, but I will definitely come back by when the golf course is done. Never played.
Yes. I am still planning to build the golf course. I am going to turn Elizabeth into a tourist area for the nobility across the subsector. And he says, next week, I'm hoping will be the very beginning of such attempts when I host the Elizabeth Regatta. It's a solar sailing event. He says, I will be taking out my solar sailor, which I have named the Glorinna. Oops, we lost. Yes.
Yeah, some Discord issues.
Yes.
I would
Sounds
probably
wonderful.
pull him aside for a private conversation. Just a couple of words.
Okay.
I would of course be like, my lord, it's a pleasure helping you and everything. And I will be sure to tell my fellow Jordani about this place, and maybe you'll see some time to time. If so, please give them the same amazing atmosphere that you gave me.
Oh, he says, absolutely. I have nothing against the Jordani people. I believe that if they are anything like what I know of you, then they are a noble and trustworthy people.
Well, we only melt people's minds sometimes, not all the time.
And he's shaking your hand and he goes, ah, yes, good joke. Just, but no, I would never hold that against them.
Just be cautious. Don't waste all your money on a golf course or on women.
And go ahead and make a diplomat plus social check.
12.
Ooh.
So while you have him pulled, kind of aside, away from everybody else, he doesn't say anything out loud. He again pulls up his mobile comm, taps something out in a text, and sends it to your mobile comm.
I'll take a look.
It is he says, didn't want to say it out loud. Don't know who's listening. And he said, and the text message says that essentially that he has confirmed that there was Jordani involvement in the Tarkeen coup, and that and he lists a name. Hold on, let me give you a name. Jordani name generator, and I'll probably just butcher this.
Hey, welcome back.
Hooray! Nope, evidently not. Come on.
Sorry about that. My computer crashed.
Oh, well,
Oof.
hell.
Yep.
That's what you get for working from home.
What's that?
So that's what you get for working from home.
Yeah, well, this is a brand new computer. Like, it's not even 2 days old. So,
Got to break it in still.
So,
oh man, I had an adventure. Sorry, please continue.
So the name that he gives you is Sulil Hanadine.
Can you copy and paste it in chat?
I can do that.
Please and thank you.
Now I gotta double check. Sulili. There you go. And this is a name that you recognize from your days in the diplomatic corps of the Jadani consulate. And this individual, I wouldn't say that they are dangerous in a physical sense, but they have the ability to find those who are dangerous in a physical sense. They were somebody that you have seen, or not necessarily seen. You may not have ever even met him, but you recognize this individual's name, and they are the covert end of things that get others to do the dirty work for them, and they don't really care who gets hurt along the way. Oftentimes, from your days at the Jadani consulate diplomatic corps, this guy's name would come up when situations involving the Eingevar were going on. Now, usually the Eingevar, there have been some Eingevar terrorist acts deeper into the Imperium, but they're very few and far between. Most of that stuff, the Eingevar are very active in the Spinward Marches, Deneb, District 26, the edge there between that DMZ blank space between the Third Imperium and the Jadani consulate. Sometimes active near the Sword Worlds, but the Eingevar have never had any kind. They've never done any kind of terrorist action in the Sword Worlds themselves. The Sword World Confederation is protected from that, and the Third Imperium, of course, registers the Eingevar as a terrorist group, but they've never really come right out and said that they are a puppet organization of the Jadani consulate. You know differently. You know that they might have started out as their own thing, wanting better treatment or freedom, or name any cause that you want, because they had pretty much no direction until the Jadani consulate kind of manipulated them, and now they pretty much strike out against the Imperium for a number of reasons, but they're always terrorist actions. They blew up a monorail station, or they sunk a freighter or on a planet, or what have you. They've never gone so far as to really do anything major, like blow up sections of a starport, but they're one or two steps away from that level of terrorist action.
I guess I would tie to him back. How do you know any evidence?
And he sends you over a series of redacted files that are all marked classified from a high level diplomat, and are signed by some of the Admiralty of the Third Imperium.
I would text him, how did you get these?
And he just smiles, and he says, I'm a noble. We're in the know.
I guess I'd ask him, do you support the Imperium?
Oh, of course he does.
Okay.
Blinderby, if anything, is a patriot, but
But he's giving classified intel to a Jordani?
he's giving classified intel to you because of the assistance that you gave him on Tarkeen. And because you're a Jodani, he wanted to let you know that your people were involved. Now, what you decide to do with that, he has no malice in giving that to you. He wants you to know that your people were involved in that action and kind of spearheaded that, or gave the push for General Kang Ladro to do what he did. But at the same time, he kind of feels like you deserve to know because that's your government, that's your people that are doing this. And if you know, maybe you don't know that your government's doing that sort of thing. Although, the standard Imperial would think all Jodani are telepaths, so don't they read each other's minds all the time? I mean, of course he knew.
Oh, of course.
But Blinderby's not that stupid.
I'll just say I appreciate the honesty.
And I mean, the files that he gave you are going to take you a while to go through, but he copied them over to your mobile comm.
I'll just send them to my supercomputer and let that start looking at them later on.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, assuming he doesn't have anything else he has to tell me, I'll just kind of go back to acting like we're just saying goodbye and then leave, I guess.
Okay, so his shuttle pilot takes you back up to the high port, and you once again board the Convulsion, or more than likely you spend a little bit of time knocking around Elizabeth's high port, drinking questionable beer and eating Astro burgers, and then after probably another day in the high port, she jumps for Groat. What can we tell you? So you can all add another week to your study time. There's very little to do aboard a free trader. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Did the wrong. There we go. The Groat says. Groat sounds like a dirty word. Like, kicked him right in the Groat. So this is at the end of a week, the convulsion comes out of jump into the Groat system. The any time you would have had plenty of time during the week to kind of peruse the library files for anybody who hasn't been to Groat. There's no reason really to come to Groat. It is an airless rock wall world with a population of 10,000 people. You know. Let's see what the UWP says. It says has a class A starport. It is around the same size as Mars, about 6,400 kilometers in diameter. Surface gravity is a 0.35, so, don't jump too hard. Atmosphere is 0. It's got nothing. Hydrographics is 0, which means that it is between 0 and 5%, but would be considered a desert world. Population is 4 tens of thousands. In this case, it is 10,000, and that is it. And all of those 10,000 people are employed by the starport. It's the only reason these people live here. Government is a 4. It is a representative democracy. Ruling functions performed by elected representatives. You know, the poster child for imperial inclusion. And then it has a law level of 4, which means weapons banned are light assault weapons and submachine guns, and cloth armor is banned.
Darn.
Beyond that, so everybody works for the starport. It is a Class A star. Oh, and it does have a high tech level. There it is. Tech level 11. So essentially, this port, the only reason that this Class A starport was constructed was to essentially facilitate bigger imperial trade that is moving into District 268 and the Five Sisters subsector. That's it. There has really been only a very small increase in traffic, but the port is making a fairly modest profit, and so it's secure in its future and is going to be here for a while. It's essentially Groat serves as a major intersection point for any trade and commerce that is moving out of the Imperium into like District 268, and it is a big big draw for J2 ships, and I'll show you why. I mean, you can see. So there's this main. They can go. God, J1 can go from Groat all the way down, clear to Motmost. There's just a steady line of traffic that anybody with a J1 can do. But most of the ships are J2 freighters that are probably making their way from Smaug or Mithras. And it basically has markets that essentially are pushing items for sale out of the Lunyon and Glisten subsectors. And so most ships that are docked here are from District 268, and they don't. Most of these ships will turn around and go back into District 268, so they'll be heading back in this direction rather than going deeper into the Imperium up here. And the reason for that, of course, is that it reduces the amount of paperwork that they have to file. They don't have to purchase extra licenses, and they can just come to Groat and they can clear out their cargo inventory, and pretty much they can sell them at the brokerages at Groat and not have to worry about going deeper into the Imperium and accruing a higher cost for trade licenses and things like that. What everybody can make so you guys are passengers, so it's probably unlikely that the captain of the convulsion would allow you on the bridge. But there are the common area on deck 2 has a pretty nice big viewport. You can see outside. I will allow everybody to make a recon plus intellect check. So,
And
yeah, this is so Casimir and Zerzi, you guys can see that there is a high amount of traffic, and you both can just make out at one of the docked berths. You can just make out what you think is the Skander, and after a few moments, you get a call from the bridge, and it's the captain of the convulsion, and she passes along. She says, wanted to let our passengers know that Captain of Magnus Sundstrom of the Skander has contacted us and wants to pass along that he is glad that you are back in port, or back home, as he stated it, and looks forward to seeing you aboard the ship.
Very cool.
So
What a
with
weird message to send, but okay.
that, the convulsion docks at the high port. The high port at Groat is really nothing more than a series of warehouses and refueling stations. All of the main all of the commerce takes place actually down on the rocky airball surface of Groat, which is basically a bunch of domed facilities, and you guys once again, once you get to the port, you make your way over to. It takes you less than a minute to find a kiosk or to get the information sent to your mobile comm of ships that are docked at the Groat High Port. One of them, of course, is Skander, and um, you make your way over to the Skander's um, docking uh, docking platform. I was wondering if that was gonna clear up.
It's a much bigger ship.
Yes. So I will bring up Skander. Throw Orion up here. And so these 27 are luxury staterooms. Those are kind of designated for any passengers, although Zersey has one of those. You are free to pick out a stateroom up here if you would like. Any of these green areas, you can. Usually those are bunks. They're two to a room. Sometimes some of these look like they're two to a room. I was gonna say they look like they're four to a room, but they're not. You can pick out your own stateroom anywhere you would like, and as you get back aboard, these are kind of the nice this area that you're all in back here. These are kind of the nicer common areas. They're kind of reserved for the luxury crew. Magnus tends to like to hold his little private powwows back there, and he of course meets you guys and in that area, and he wants to know everything about your trip. He says that the Traveler News Service um, has sent some articles out about the situation on Tarkeen, and he says it sounds very grim. He wants to know all about your story down there. Um, you know, did you accomplish what you set out to do? That kind of thing. What are you telling him about all of this? Oh, and Zersey, you can make an electronics computers plus intellect or education check, and you can add your database software bonus to that, and of course your agent software.
12.
Okay. So, what are you guys telling Magnus about Tarkeen?
Oh, Audrey tells Magnus how the people there are in big trouble, but we helped them and also rescued the princess.
And he seems quite impressed with that. On here, I need to get another window. Zersey, Audrey, and Casimir, you can all Audrey and Casimir roll 1d or roll 2d6 and you get a +2 to that.
Okay.
Excellent. Excellent. And Zersey, you can roll 2d6 and you can add +3 to that. Nice. So Magnus is exceptionally impressed with all three of you, and goes he goes on at some length about this is your actions, um, in your decision to assist someone that you didn't even know to go into a dangerous situation and essentially rescue this guy's fiance. He says that is, you are upholding the highest traditions of what it means to be a sword worlder, and he is exceptionally proud of you. And then he kind of turns and he notices Orion, and he says, "Did you? I'm sorry. I have you brought on new crew?"
He is our new friend.
Yeah.
So he kind of goes over Orion's background, which we already know about in the real world, and he thinks that Orion would be a perfect addition. He doesn't have a whole lot of positions available aboard the ship that would fit exactly to Orion's skill set, but that's okay. You can learn as you go. Does Orion have the gunner turret skill?
He does not.
Okay.
But he would mention to the captain that first time actually being on a starship as crew, and he's already working on trying to learn how to pilot better, but he's happy to fit in anywhere that thinks he might be useful in.
So this is the specs of the Skander and what she looks like from the outside. She's a 4,000 tons, close structure merchant cruiser. She can land on planets. Close structure, of course, she just she's not very aerodynamic, but she can get down and she can get back up. So far, they haven't had any major problems. You'll notice that she is heavily armed under the weapons. I mean, like really heavily armed. This is a typical, what would typically be thought of as a sword worlder's ship in the Third Imperium. It's like, oh, they're all pocket warships. Everything that the sword worlders do is meant to go raiding. I mean, she's got missile bays and particle barbettes, and just bristling with guns for a merchant cruiser. She's very well defended. And so he really feels like, for the most part, your day-to-day duties, of course, are going to pretty much being a deckhand, but he would definitely like to put you into like a security role, and he would be willing to pair you up with some of Skander's other crew, uh, that are some of the gunners, because they do have 13 gunners aboard, and they can kind of fast track your ability or your skill training in getting gunner, at least at 0. If
Oh
that
yeah, I would. His eyes would light up at the opportunity to shoot even bigger guns.
yes.
He's a very easy man to please.
Yeah, this thing's got 20 dual turret pulse lasers, 12 triple turrets with with 2 beam lasers and 2 sandcasters each. Yeah, she's a you can tell that she is an old workhorse. um and he doesn't really bring up any of the Skander's past history. Magnus is not the first owner.
Ah,
And so he doesn't really bring up anything else, but he clearly states that he is proud of the ship. He's proud of the crew thus far. There have been no embarrassments, and he's very pleased with the crew that he's got, and he's exceptionally pleased with these three. I mean, they are more or less, he's got his command crew, and then there's the travelers, and you guys are almost on an equal footing with the command crew at this point. Now, So what those rules were, in fact, Orion, you can roll 2d. You don't get a bonus, but you can just roll 2d, and let's see what you get. Oh,
11.
okay.
Nice.
So he is very impressed with your skill set. So what these rules are is there are things called esteem and satisfaction. And so the esteem mechanic is more or less how Magnus feels about you. And of course, the higher you are with the esteem, the better. And the then there is satisfaction. And the satisfaction is how does the rest of the crew feel about you? And so most of the rest, I mean, probably is going to get around. Everybody can roll 2d. Zerzy gets to roll 2d plus 2. Orion got it. Is the Orion's the only one that got it. So Orion's satisfaction with the crew goes up. Everybody else stays right where they're at. 0, of course, being the lowest. Most of the crew either doesn't know enough about Audrey to really think much about her, or they kind of dislike her, and that might be because she's Virger, but it's never really openly stated that way. But in the core edges of the Sword Worlds, of course, there would be some issues with Virger raiders. The common thought in the Imperium, at least, and probably in the core word regions of the Confederation, is that the Vargar are all pirates. Every last one of them is a pirate. They are so synonymous with pirates that the Vargar have a class of ship that is simply called a Corsair. So, so they're highly unpredictable, and so that might be some of the reason. But so far, the crew either doesn't really care for her that much, or just hasn't gotten to know her. Zerzy is pretty well liked by the crew. They don't seem to they really like him. Mostly, the thing about Sword Worlds Confederation is that in all 4 of the previous Frontier Wars, the Sword Worlds Confederation, well, I can't really say it was all 4. Or maybe I can. Anyways, historically, they have always sided with the Jodani in these wars. They don't side. They have a huge. The Sword Worlders have a huge chip on their shoulder when it comes to the Third Imperium, and the Lunian Shield worlds are kind of a perfect example of that. Those worlds used to be. They used to be Sword Worlds Confederation worlds, and I can show you what I'm talking about here. So these worlds right here, Warden, Olympia, and Smaug, those were all originally Sword Worlds. And during the last, or at the end of the last Frontier War, the treaty that was signed ceded them over to the Imperium. And they're called the Lunian Shield Worlds because the Imperium likes everybody to think that, oh, they're the bulwark against aggression from the Sword Worlds, and if there's another war, that's going to be our first line of defense. But that's pretty much all bullshit. The reality is that these worlds are really continuing on like they always have. There hasn't really been a buildup of forces. Warden has a naval base, but aside from that, there's really not much change. It's all propaganda. But it still kind of sticks in the side of the Sword Worlders that those worlds should be blue. They should be on our side of the map, and they should have never been given over to the Imperium, and yet here we are. So So yeah, Magnus sets up Orion with a crewmate that is going to teach him gunnery. You can write down a small note that 4 weeks of study, and you will get gunnery 0.
Gotcha.
Of course, making an education check, but it kind of puts you on a fast track for that skill. And so he is happy to have you aboard. Now he then goes on and the reason why he called you to this particular common area. You guys and him are the only ones in here, which is not unusual. But he tells you that because of Groat's setup here, with there's really it's a clearinghouse for markets coming from 268, etc. He says that this is a treasure trove of intelligence, and so one of the reasons that this merchant cruise, the Skander's Vic, is going on is not just because it is Magnus's last hurrah before retiring, but throughout the many years, he has been constantly hammering at the Sword Worlds Confederation Admiralty that there are troop movements and things going on behind the scenes that are pointing to some form of either invasion or conflict. Now he hopes that it's just conflict. I mean, not that that's a great thing, but it'd be better than the Imperium invading. And so he, during this entire merchant cruise, the impetus has been put out for the crew, specifically the travelers, to go out and gather as much intelligence as you can. Now, because this is a one-time, this is kind of a one-time merchant cruise, some of this intelligence data is very piecemeal. So, in other words, if he were to have made these trips multiple times, he could have correlated the data and would have been able to get a better picture. But it is what it is. And so he's trying to get enough of the intelligence information to bring back to the Admiralty in the Sword Worlds and, slap them around and tell them to open their eyes, because things are happening here and they need to be ready. And so he tells you that Groat is just a treasure trove of this kind of information. He tells you that the best place, number one, first place that you're going to get that information would be from the Starport Secure records, of which, of course, he understands that you're not cleared to get. So, however you can get the information is up to you. But that would have a large bank of info.
The implication is understood.
Now, the other thing that he tells you is that because of all the trade markets on Groat, down at the starport, on the ground, there is a large organized criminal syndicate, and to be wary of them. But that may also be a source of information if you were to make the right contacts.
Well, I mean, I found criminals before.
Right? So, now that you've got your pilot back, of course, he will grant you the use of one of the 2 shuttles, and you can head down to Starport. However you would like to do it.
Before I leave, I want to show our 2 newer people a secret project that was worked on and has unfortunately become abandoned, but perhaps they can take it over.
Okay.
What is it?
So I will take Casimir and Orion into one of the cargo bays.
Oh, yeah.
I kind of show them underneath one of the tarps a partially constructed still. I tell them that a former crew member was working on this, but they jumped ship, And if you want, you guys can tinker with it and try to make some more alcohol. I'm sure you'll love it.
Yeah, they had initially set up a basically a small area amongst the cargo in the deck 1 cargo bay that no, sorry, it was no, that was the right spot. Sorry, deck 2 cargo bay, and essentially next to the docking, the hangars. Is that right? Yes, docking space. So number 11 there is the docking space for these 2 shuttles. They look like this. Little 8010 TL12 shuttles, good for carting around cargo. They got thrust force, so they will get up and move. I mean, they're not a fighter, but they'll do. And they have a single turret pulse laser, so they're not unarmed. And so, yeah, these guys had initially set up a little private area in the cargo hold and threw a tarp over it, and they've got a still down there and basically a little lounge type of area where they sometimes go to get away from the rest of the crew.
Nifty. I never really looked into it myself, but always good to have hobbies, right?
Oh, it wasn't mine. I don't dabble with mechanical stuff, but it was a very crazy sword welder. I hope that perhaps if you like alcohol, have fun with it. I think I got it off. I can't remember where I got it from, but somehow I got a hold of it, and I gave it to people to kind of do what they wish with it.
If I remember, the last time that it was set to use, it was making mead.
I think so. I don't remember.
Which at this point is probably there's probably a barrel of mead, a keg of mead sitting there.
Nice.
It's
Why
just
not,
free
right?
booze if you guys wish to indulge yourselves. If not, then I'm
Free
sure the
booze,
crew will
free
continue to
booze that
use
you
it.
don't have to steal.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good to know. I got a lot on my plate at the moment, but maybe my off time.
So what? So the reason why I had you make that computer check. So in your week of jump back to or to Groat, your agent program in your database was going through all of this information that Blinderby passed along. There's more here than just the confirmations that were made about Tarkeen. There is further confirmations from Imperial intelligence ships that have clearly located and noted Jodani ships in the demilitarized zone between the Imperium and the consulate. There's other information in here that implies that Imperial intelligence is aware of the Jodani consulate's interactions with the Ein Gavar, and there is some information. And hold on here, I need to find a name. So there is information in here that the Ein Gavar has been kind of prodded and manipulated into some terrorist actions in what is considered the Riverland Theater, along the Riverland Theater kind of spreads across the Jewel and Regina subsectors, and it names. Looking for a name. It names a ship that is in the region that is in the demilitarized zone just outside of Jewel that is listed as the Chedlench. And they believe that it is a covert operations vessel, but they're not sure of what class of ship it is.
Okay. Um, so does he want us to look into that, or?
Well, I mean, this is the data packet that Blinderby gave Zerzy.
I guess if we have nothing else that needs to be done on the ship before we go onto the space station to get intel and or talk to the syndicate that may be there, yeah, I would try to catch up Orion and everybody else up to date with kind of what's going on. Essentially, the TLDR is that there's a chance a war may be about to come, and all the sides are essentially playing the big game right now of moving chess pieces and preparing to attack and counterattack, but nobody wants to kick things off yet. And my job is to also try to keep everybody informed. I let them know that, especially Orion, that there is an intelligence officer for the Sword Worlds on this ship, and I've talked to him many times, and me and him share intel that most of you may know most of it, but you may not know all the intel I share. But it's higher level things that you guys probably don't know or don't care about. It's me trying to make sure there's not a war started yet, and him trying to prepare the Sword Worlds in case there is a war.
Casimir says, well, you say yet. When is the war supposed to start then?
I don't know.
Sounds like we're in the calm before the storm.
I'm merely a former counselor who's on a merchant trading ship. I don't have any contact with the Jordani Imperium yet. I would love to talk to them, but I've been out of touch from them for a long time now.
This guy's name comes up as the comes up time and again as in relation to that special operations ship. And this is definitely somebody that Zerzy would know. I would believe that this is probably your nemesis.
Oh.
Oh.
One of the three?
Yes, one of the three.
Well, with that being said, I think I've made it pretty clear my history with the Imperial Marines, but I should probably let you all know I was honorably discharged. Official records will state a training accident, the result. Let's just say there's other reasons I'm looking at getting out of Imperial space. shall we say, a difference in opinions on courses of actions I had with leadership.
If I really want to know, Orion, I can just prod your mind.
I can
But I'm
just
not
read
going
your
to.
mind.
I figured you could if, since you're Zodani, and all of you can do that, right?
Well, of course, we can read your mind at will. We can turn it to mush anytime we desire.
Go ahead and read it if you wish.
So
You might not like everything you see.
this is a perfect example. The average imperial citizen has been told time and again by the government that every Jodani is telepathic, that there is absolutely no privacy around a Jodani because they're constantly reading each other's minds. The other thing that they're told is that the Jodani consulate has a secret police, and I forget their name, and I probably wouldn't be able to pronounce it even if I could. But they have a secret police whose job is, nobody knows who these individuals are. Their job is to basically walk around town and randomly read people's thoughts. And if they detect that you have unhappy feelings about pretty much anything, especially if it's work related, then you are taken off the street, you are sent to a re-education camp, and basically, these thought police will go and brainwash you until you no longer have the depressing thoughts. And so this mindset in the Imperium goes back, I want to say clear back to, I want to say 800, year 800 maybe. But there was the psionic suppressions that went on in the Imperium, and it was that mindset that went on with the suppressions was then used to fuel this mindset against the Jodani in the Imperium as far as propaganda goes. What the suppressions were is that before the psionic suppressions, there were several institutes throughout the Imperium that studied psionics. And it came out in a bad light. What initially was a scandal in misappropriations of funds for these institutions, then turned into, the coming to public light about some of the black ops that were going on with these institutions, that there were children that were being exploited for their psionic powers, highly questionable, if not outright illegal experimentation was going on. And so this ballooned up into very similar to like the Red Scare, where everybody was thought to be a communist, everybody was thought to be a psionic, and everybody who was psionic was bad. We had to stamp out these evil institutions, and that's what ended up happening. In reality, though, they didn't stamp out the institutions. Instead, the Imperium government took direct control, or the corporations took direct control, and they moved them underground into a black area where nobody sees them from the public. Everybody in the public thinks that they're gone, but they're really not. They're just hidden. And so that's what's going on in the Imperium. The reality is that in the Jodani consulate, only the higher class, the nobility, you basically have two stratospheres. You've got the nobility, and then you've got the proles. And if you are, they start testing their youth for psionics at a very young age, and if they are detected to be psionic, they are taken from that family and they are fostered into another family who is of the nobility, and they are trained from then on. The proles are not psionic. They are your common person on the street, and then you've got the higher-ups who are all psionic. And there are thought police, but they're not sending people to education camps. From the Jodani perspective, they want everybody to be happy with their job, and if it is found that you have, these depressing thoughts about work or not being able to go anywhere in life, they're not brainwashing you. They're educating you into another field of work so that you can be happy in life. It's not, in reality, it's not as sinister as it sounds, or maybe some of it is, and the Jodani just want us to think that it's not really that bad. It's hard to say, but almost everything that an Imperial knows about the Jodani is flat out wrong. Is the end result of that.
Yes, these things tend to, be.
Oh, go ahead. I was gonna say, Ryan, I would let you know I am a Jordani noble.
Yeah.
I'd say off of that first question of the assumption that all Zodani have psionics, you can be fairly assured that he was thoroughly brought up under the propaganda and does not know better.
Undoubtedly.
So he's like, as soon as he saw that you're Zodani, he just assumed you can read his brain at any time, and you could probably blow his head up if you wanted with a thought.
Right.
I put it to you this way: that Zerzi worked in the government for a very, very, very long time. I was up to one of the highest positions in the government you can get up to. I have seen and done many things in an administrative, diplomatic way. I would never do anything horrible or bad.
But he is essentially consenting to letting you read his mind if you wanted.
I'm fine for now. If I ever am curious,
the ones you consent are no fun. So I mean, of course, all of this information. I mean, there's a lot going on here, and it's obviously above your guys' pay grade. But it does confirm some of Magnus's suspicions. Because I mean, these are talking about these files are talking about ship movements, and it's showing that the Imperium is moving fleets into District 268 and Jewel, and they're prepping.
I would take the files and, using my encryption software, encrypt them and send it to Kurt's encrypted tablet he has.
Okay. So yeah, you can send that data to Kurt. Kurt Avos is the Sword Worlds Confederation intelligence officer who is, in air quotes, undercover aboard Skander. Kind of was sent there to keep an eye on Magnus, but he's not. So the Admiralty has always brushed off Magnus and his fears. And so Kurt is not really brushing him off because he does see that there's something to what the old man is saying. So the next, I mean, like I said, this information is a bit above your pay grade, other than confirming what Magnus has said, and whether you want to bring that up to him or not is up to you. The other question is, so if you know that the Starport secure records are where you're going to get the high value data for intelligence out of Groat, how do you want to go about that?
Let's split up and search for clues, honestly.
Okay.
I was going to suggest that we try to contact the syndicate, and I'll see if I can make a deal with them.
That's not a terrible idea.
Yeah,
might not be a bad idea.
Yeah,
I have a good offer. I think they'll take it.
So
I'm certainly not one that's skilled in cracking data out of computer systems.
I got some contacts in the underworld. Yeah, I got some contacts in the underworld. Yeah.
Okay. So Casimir, you're flying. Go ahead and make a piloting plus dexterity check. This is the shuttle.
Plus dex, and I have my thing. Blah 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 blah. Yeah, okay, not too shabby.
All right. All right, so yeah, it's a routine check, and so you guys board one of these shuttles, and the Tajel class shuttle, and bring it down to the planet side downport. Um, like I said, there's nothing down here. The starport and pretty much all of the living accommodations of the Groat main starport are in these domes, and Casimir is able to bring the shuttle down and bring her into a docking berth. And immediately, like when you guys step out of the shuttle, you can see that the concourse is just almost a blinding and dizzying array of advertisements. So the thing to really the thing to really get from Groat's starport is that Groat would be termed an artificial territory. In other words, it without its starport, it is unable to sustain itself, and there's no reason for it to exist. It can even sustain an indigenous population. This is just a airless rock ball. And so, stepping out into the concourse, there is just a dizzying array of holographic ads and lights, constantly hammering away. And the concourse of the port is almost entirely given over to merchant trading. There are a number of brokerages that are selling things from all over District 268, the Five Sisters, even some things from the Darien Confederation. And so there's just a bunch of stuff. Uh, Everybody can make a recon plus intellect check. I need to find there is a JTAZ. Audrey got it.
I got an 8.
Okay. Oh, Zerzy and Audrey got it. I gotta remember which one of these is then. So there are a number of things that are available for sale. And Zerzy and Audrey find two of the more interesting ones. Here we go. Yes, I think Audrey. Let me pull this out to show you. So, Audrey, moving through the concourse, you find a merchant stall, and up front there are a number of plants that are for sale, and these things kind of grow at an angle. They got a thick rubbery stem, um, almost like an orchid that kind of just ends in a bulb, and they have these strange flowers that kind of grow off of many smaller vines or leaves that come off of them. And it is listed as an oracle plant. It looks like this.
Hmm. Fancy.
Well, Well, Audrey's checking out the Oracle plant. Jersey finds an item that looks like a metallic sphere. That is listed as a purification globe. None of these items have any prices listed on them. You would have to haggle with the merchant selling them. The purification globe, more specifically, is from far outside of not charred space, but far outside of the Imperium. Is on the other side, the rimward side um, of the Trojan Reach, uh, in the. I gotta pull it up. Back up. There we go. In the big green area, the Florian League. The Florians are very peculiar, but this is what this thing looks like.
Odd, but interesting.
Hmm.
Very
So,
useful.
so the thing about the Florian League is that it is one of the only locations outside of Vland, and actually in Vland, I don't even think their stuff still works. It is one of the only locations where there are examples of Ancients technology that is still operating. So the Ancients were an alien race that went imploded on themselves about 300,000 years ago. But the reason why there are humans all over the place is because at some point they went to Earth and they plucked them out. They plucked people out and they seeded them on these other worlds. In many cases, it's kind of a dickish move, like when they dropped proto-humans onto the Jodani homeworld. It was basically a desert. The humans that they dropped on Vland, who became the Volani, their world was operated by thinking machines that didn't think much of humans, and all the food on Vland um, didn't function with human digestive systems, and so the Volani had to come up with this entire style of cooking in order to make the food edible, and it is now considered some of the best cooking available in charted space. But anyways, they seeded all these worlds with humans. They also took some species and uplifted them, like the Vargur. They were taken from canine stock and genetically modified into humanoids, into what you see as a Vargur today. The Aslan are not uplifted; they are their own species, and there's a couple of others that developed on their own, such as the Hivers and the Kukri and things like that. But the ancients, like I said, they had their own little civil war about 300,000 years ago. They imploded on themselves, and all of their technology was kind of obliterated for the most part. In the Florian League, there are still examples of this ancient's technology that is still functioning to this day. Although the Florians themselves, they don't have any idea of how to fix it. And so when one of those pieces of machinery goes down, they end up either having to uh, basically move stuff around from other population centers which built up around these machines, or come up with some other way. But they actually have working ancients technology, and it's like the only place in the universe that anybody knows of where this stuff is actually still functioning. As far as like Vland, the reason why the Third Imperium, which is Villani, hates artificial intelligence so much is because they were basically historically raised among these thinking machines, and so there is this big dislike of thinking machines. This particular purification globe is something that is technology that has come out of the Florian League, and so I mean, they have some weird stuff that comes out of there. It's not necessarily Ancients technology, but it's clearly inspired.
Yeah, I'll approach a shopkeeper and look at it and be like, how much is this fancy and strange looking artifact?
And she says, he says that he would be able to let that go. He'd be able to let that go for 500 credits.
Are the Oracle plants at the same stall or a different stall?
Different stall.
Okay. I'm feeling generous. You know what? I won't even haggle you on it. I will gladly take this object for that much.
Okay. So he hands you the one and only purification globe that he has. The Oracle plant does have a price tag attached to it. Should Audrey be interested?
Audrey is not interested.
I do not like. I'm gonna trip balls if I buy this plant. So, yeah, I mean they're selling this plant, very rare, not usually found within Imperial space, for 400 credits.
I mean, am I able to see it or no?
Yeah, you can see that Audrey's over there looking at this plant.
What are you looking at, Audrey?
There's a plant.
Do I know the information about it?
Yeah, essentially the merchant is trying to sell this to Audrey, telling that these plants are capable of in some cultures are known to give hallucinations that can be visions. I mean, the way he's making it sound is that like it's peyote or ayahuasca or something, but that's the way this merchant's making it sound. Both, well, Zerzi, you can make a. Go ahead and roll 2d plus your intellect. Yeah, so you have seen these before. You know what this is. You know that anybody who is not psionic that consumes this, usually the stems, and only a little dab will do you. They're going to get really high and they're going to see some things. Whereas you and Casimir may actually receive an actual psionic clairvoyant vision. It's not really clairvoyance. Yeah, it is clairvoyance, but
yeah, I'm just gonna look and say, I am a collector of odd, exotic things. How much is this?
oh, I'd be able to let this go for 400 credits.
My ears hurt a little bit. You said 300 credits, right?
You can make a broker plus social check. Or is
Oh.
it social? Let me double check that.
It could be social. I don't mind.
I'm sure.
I
Yes.
bet you don't.
Just saying.
I might be
mean,
wrong. It's uh, mm, negotiating a deal would be broker plus intellect.
Both work for me.
Nice. He says, for you, my friend, I could let it go for 300 credits.
Do you have any other ones? I am a collector of exotic things.
He says, no, this is the only oracle plant that I've come across in my journeys. He says, actually, I bought it while aboard T3.
Great.
Yeah, he says that that he tells this fantastic tale of, and now I got to remember another name. God, I'm just blowing it. 10. He tells this fantastic tale about some kind of, you're not sure if it's a pirate or a tavern owner. You're not sure, but he goes on talking about this ship called T that is designated as T3, which stands for Tomorrow's Traveling Tavern and Cosmic Cabaret. And the way he describes this thing is that it sounds like it is a converted mercenary cruiser. And he says that it will sometimes jump into system just ahead, or with bounty hunters and ship tracers on its tail, and that the captain of the vessel Tamara is this. Has a 40,000 credit bounty on her head and is wanted all across the Imperium, but she always stays one step ahead of them. Makes her sound like she's this mythical heroic Robin Hood kind of figure, and he tells you that you could get almost anything or negotiate nearly any deal aboard T3 when she's in system. And he says that's when I came into possession of the Oracle plant.
At this system? At this stage?
No,
place? Oh,
he
okay.
he actually ran into her some time ago, and he has been kind of. He says when I got the Oracle plant, it was kind of sickly, wasn't doing very well, so I've been kind of watering it and taking care of it, nursing it to where it is now before, so that I would have it in a sellable state.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the story and the items.
So he takes your 300 credits, and you now have a Oracle plant and a purification globe. Casimir, you said you had some underworld contacts. We'll go ahead and have you make a streetwise plus social check.
Yeah, I will do that. Streetwise plus social, and I believe I get a bonus if I spend money. I think that's how it goes.
Yes, you can. I will, if you want to grease palms and buy drinks. If you buy the night train, it'll go farther. You can, for every 100 credits up to a maximum of 500, you can add a +1.
Well, I'll spend. I got some money to spend right now. I'll spend. Let's go 300.
Okay. There's a +3.
So
Anybody else who wants to help, they can, of course, make a streetwise plus social check.
I do not have streetwise. I will harm.
Okay.
+3. Okay.
I don't have that skill either.
All right. Good thing I did.
Okay.
Honestly, rolls are terrible. But anyway.
So you do find, in your in and out of, there are, of course, in between these market stalls, there are numerous little dive bars and mostly catering to the spacer types. knowing what you know about the criminal underworld, you are able to pick out the most likely individuals that are going to be involved. Clearly, they are usually standing around, sticking out, or at the edge of any social gathering, kind of picking out marks. And you find a group, and you buy them some drinks, and they let you know that that there is a criminal organization, a syndicate that essentially, basically runs. The typical smuggling of illegal goods. There is some drug running. There is some union uh, infiltration, things like that. Nothing, it, for the most part, on a place like Groat, this is all small potatoes compared to some of the other worlds that you've been on. But it is, of course, making these guys far wealthier than they ought to be in a place like Groat. And he kind of gives you directions, and shows you on your mobile comm, that basically it's going to be in the seedier areas of the Groat downport. And like I said, there are directions to another one of these domes. Like, I don't know, this dome back here looks seedy. And they're all connected by underground tubes and monorails and highways. And
Okay.
he gives you a name. Go find this guy, and he'll be able to get you more information about what it is that you're looking for. So you guys kind of head off in that direction. I think that's probably a good place to stop for tonight, and we'll pick this up next week with you guys entering into what could be considered the slums of Groat Downport.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
Okay.
Why shouldn't we enter the slums after all?
Yeah, I mean, you're
And
here.
since we're entering the slums, you said this was a law level 4.
Correct.
So no military weapons. That would mean neither Gauss sniper rifle or Gauss SMG, correct?
Well, hold on. Look back at my law levels table. The specific says light assault weapons and submachine guns are banned, and cloth armor is banned. Now, I've always kind of assumed that means that everything from the lower law levels are also banned, but that's not really what it says. But
That's what I was assuming as well.
yeah, I would assume that everything below that is, so, military weapons, portable energy and laser weapons.
So my Gauss guns are a no-go down here, but an auto pistol would be fine.
Auto pistol would be perfect.
Okay. Then I will have left my Gauss guns back on the shuttle.
Okay.
And I will just have my cutlass, my dagger, and my auto pistol.
Excellent. All right, we will pick this up next week on Wednesday night at 6 o'clock PST.
Sounds good.
It sounds good. Thank you very much for running.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Have a good night, guys. I will see you next week.
See you next week.